It happens every single night. You turn off the television, you lock the doors, you get ready for bed. Your dog walks over to their plush dog bed, but before they lie down, they do something incredibly strange. They walk in a tight circle. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Sometimes they scratch at the blankets with their front paws. Sometimes they pause, look around the room, and do one more final circle for good measure before finally collapsing with a heavy sigh. You have probably smiled at this behavior. You might even think it is just a quirky little habit, a mindless, goofy routine your dog does to get comfortable. But you are wrong. What you are witnessing in your living room is not a quirk. It is a ghost. It is an ancient, hardwired survival mechanism echoing from thousands of years ago. It is a biological program designed to keep a wild predator alive in a brutal, unforgiving world. We tend to think of our dogs as gentle family members. We put them in cute sweaters, we feed them gourmet kibble, we let them sleep on the couch. But beneath that domesticated exterior beats the heart of a wild canid. Today, we are going to tear away the domesticated mask. We are going to look deep into the evolutionary psychology of your pet. By the end of this video, you will never look at your dog's bedtime routine the same way again. The very first myth we need to destroy right now is the idea that circling is just about finding the softest spot to rest. To understand the profound truth, we have to travel back in time. Imagine the ancient ancestors of your dog. Imagine wild wolves roaming dangerous plains. Sleeping was the most dangerous thing a wild canid could possibly do. When you close your eyes, you become prey. You become entirely vulnerable. You become a target for rival predators. Circling was the ultimate insurance policy. As a wild dog turned in a tight circle, they were performing a mandatory 360-degree predator scan. They were checking every single angle of the horizon. They were looking for the glow of hostile eyes in the dark. They were listening for the faint snap of a twig. They were analyzing the shadows. But this ritual was not just about avoiding predators. It was also about family and unity. In the wild, dogs and wolves only survive because of the pack. The pack is literally everything. If you are separated from the pack, you die. Pack leaders would perform this exact same circling ritual to take a head count. As they turned, they were scanning for stragglers. They were making sure every single member of the group was present, accounted for, and safe before anyone was allowed to go to sleep. This sweeping scan ensured group cohesion. It built the absolute foundation of pack survival. Your dog is doing the exact same thing in your living room right now. When they circle, they are checking the perimeter of the house. They are making sure you were safe. They are making sure their human pack is together. But this is just the very first layer of this psychological mystery. The true scientific complexity of this simple behavior goes much, much deeper, and it involves hidden biological weapons located right in your dog's feet.
Have you ever noticed your dog vigorously pawing at the carpet or the bed sheets while they circle? They dig, they scratch, they spin. You might yell at them to stop ruining the expensive rug, but evolutionary science tells us a completely different story. In 2016, researchers Stanley Coren at the University of British Columbia conducted a fascinating psychological experiment. He wanted to know if surface texture triggered this ancient circling instinct. He observed 62 pet dogs. First, he placed them on smooth, hard floors. Then, he placed them on heavily uneven surfaces, specifically thick, textured shag carpets. The behavioral results were absolutely incredible. 55% of the dogs circled on the uneven shag carpet. In stark contrast, only 19% circled on the smooth floor. They circled almost 3 times as much on the heavily textured surface. Why would a dog do this? Because the shag carpet tricked their primitive brain. It mimicked tall, wild grass. In the wild, lying down in tall grass leaves a canine entirely exposed to hidden snakes, sharp rocks, and stinging insects. Circling and trampling flattened the thick vegetation. It drove out venomous pests hiding in the brush. It created a safe, visible, bowl-shaped nest. Your dog circles on your bed or your living room carpet because their brain genuinely thinks they are crushing tall savanna grass. They are building a wilderness nest in the middle of modern civilization. But the physical trampling is only half the story. There is invisible chemistry happening too. Dogs have specialized scent glands located right between their toes, hidden in their paw pads. Every single time your dog circles and scratches the ground before lying down, they are activating these glands. They are literally stamping their unique chemical signature into the floorboards. They are claiming the territory. In a multi-dog household, this chemical warfare is vital for peace. It dramatically reduces fights and tension. It tells the other dogs in the house that this is my bed, this is my space, do not cross this invisible line. It is a brilliant biological mechanism of ownership inherited directly from their pack-living ancestors. And when it comes to ownership, real estate, and creating a safe space, the instincts become even more extreme during pregnancy. Let us look at how free-ranging pregnant dogs behave when they are pushed to the absolute limit. A massive, groundbreaking study by the Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research in Kolkata meticulously tracked 20 pregnant female dogs. They traveled over 300 meters every single day, actively searching for the absolute perfect den to give birth. They didn't just find a dark hole and settle down, they engaged in a highly critical active rejection process. The scientists watched these mothers sample and abandon 2 to 6 different intermediate dens before finally making a choice. They prioritized structural integrity and resource proximity over everything else. They demanded absolute perfection to ensure the survival of their puppies. Even more fascinating, another massive phase of this study looked at 148 different den sites. It revealed a massive evolutionary shift in canine psychology. Unlike wild wolves who hide deep in the forest, completely away from humans, these free-ranging dogs deliberately chose den sites much closer to human activity. They accepted the massive risk of being near loud, unpredictable humans because it gave them easier access to begging and scavenging. They actively hacked the system. They used human proximity as a strategic survival tool. Every time your dog spins around to carefully claim the exact corner of your sofa, they're channeling this intense, calculated evolutionary drive to secure the perfect microenvironment. But what if I told you that your dog is not just reacting to the carpet or the room layout? What if I told you that when your dog spins, they are actually connecting with the invisible forces of the planet Earth itself?
It sounds like pure science fiction, but the truth of dog psychology is far stranger and far more incredible than fiction. When your dog is spinning around in circles, they are actually actively analyzing the atmosphere around them. Evolutionary biologists point out that wild canids will instinctively align their bodies nose to wind before they finally go to sleep. Why do they do this? Because the wind carries vital, life-saving information. If a predator is sneaking up from miles away in the dead of night, the wind will carry their scent. By sleeping with their nose pointing directly into the oncoming breeze, a wild dog guarantees that the scent of danger will blow right into their nostrils. This incredible biological alarm system allows them to wake up and fight or flee long before the predator ever gets within striking distance. Your domesticated dog might be spinning in the very center of your bedroom, trying desperately to find a breeze that does not exist, entirely trapped in an ancient instinct that simply refuses to die. But here is the most mind-blowing twist of all. A twist that proves dogs possess biological superpowers we humans are only just beginning to truly understand. It turns out, dogs might literally be living compasses. In 2014, researchers from the Czech University of Life Sciences made a staggering, paradigm-shifting discovery. They observed 70 dogs over almost 2,000 different distinct instances. They specifically watched these dogs during elimination, a biological process which is directly preceded by a tight, frantic circling ritual. They found that under calm magnetic conditions, dogs will actively and deliberately choose to align their bodies along the Earth's north-south magnetic axis. Let me repeat that because it is unbelievable. Dogs can physically feel the Earth's magnetic field. They use this invisible geomagnetic sensitivity to carefully orient themselves in physical space. When they circle, they are actively calibrating their internal compass. They are scanning the invisible magnetic grid of the planet to find the optimal direction to face before resting or eliminating. When the Earth's magnetic field was disturbed by solar flares or geomagnetic storms, this behavioral preference completely vanished. This definitively proves they are actively reading geomagnetic cues to survive. So, the next time your dog turns around 3 times before lying down on their dog bed, remember they are actively syncing their brain to the massive magnetic poles of the Earth. It is an absolutely brilliant survival mechanism. But sometimes, evolution pushes the brain a little too hard. Sometimes the biological wire gets crossed. This brings us to the dark, complex side of the circling behavior. Scientists at the prestigious Chinese Academy of Sciences wanted to investigate the deep genetics behind this specific action. They looked at elite working dogs, specifically the highly driven Belgian Malinois. They discovered something truly shocking. The circling instinct is directly linked to a specific genetic sequence known as the CDH2 gene. In confined spaces, dogs with a moderate genetic tendency to circle actually demonstrated significantly higher work performance. They were far more alert, they were more driven, they were vastly better problem solvers. The circling instinct was a definitive marker of an elite, high-functioning brain. Evolutionary balancing selection deliberately kept this gene active over generations because it created vastly superior survivors and workers. But there was a devastating catch. When this exact same genetic trait is pushed to the absolute extreme, it physically manifests as severe obsessive-compulsive disorder. Dogs that circle endlessly, completely unable to stop themselves, are suffering from a genetic overdrive. Evolution essentially walks a dangerous tightrope. It intentionally keeps the circling instinct alive just enough to create a vigilant, elite, highly capable protector, but it constantly risks pushing the brain straight into compulsive madness. Your dog's bedtime spin is the physical, living manifestation of this delicate, dangerous genetic balance. It is the razor-thin line between elite performance and compulsive disorder.
Your living room is not just a place to relax. It is a living laboratory of ancient, unbroken biology. Every single time your dog steps onto their bed and begins to turn, a miraculous sequence of evolutionary events unfolds right before your eyes. They are actively scanning the room for invisible, ancient predators. They are taking a deliberate head count of your family to ensure the pack survives the night. They are aggressively activating hidden chemical glands in their paw pads to mark and claim their territory. They are testing the air currents to catch the scent of danger. They are literally feeling the invisible magnetic pull of the Earth's North Pole to align their bodies. And they are executing a complex genetic code that walks the absolute razor's edge of canine brilliance and madness. They are not just trying to get comfortable on a fluffy pillow. They are surviving. They are honoring the wild wolves and ancient ancestors that fought and bled so that they could be here today. The absolute next time you watch them perform this bizarre nightly ritual, do not interrupt them. Do not tell them to lie down. Watch them closely. Respect the ancient, untamed wildness that still lives deep inside their hearts. Because in that brief spinning moment, your sweet, domesticated family pet is entirely, beautifully wild. If this deep dive into canine psychology changed the way you look at your dog, hit that subscribe button right now. I want to hear from you in the comments below. What is the strangest surface, the weirdest object, or the craziest place your dog absolutely insists on circling before they go to sleep? Let me know. I read every single comment to learn about your pets. And make sure you click the notification bell icon right now so you do not miss our very next video. We are going to dive into another completely bizarre dog behavior and uncover exactly why your dog locks eyes with you and stares directly into your soul while they poop. The evolutionary reason behind that awkward eye contact will absolutely shock you. I will see you in the next one.